Hello, wonderful people. This is Stephanie Nadolny for Wonderbot Animals, and here is Landlord tries to evict tenant, but never expected to find this staring back at him. Before we begin, make sure to click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification button for more amazing videos. When the owner of a Kansas City home arrived at his front door on Wednesday morning, nothing could have prepared him for the absolutely alarming truth that had dwelt within those walls. Truly, something of nightmares was about to come to light, and no one knew what to do next. No one wants to go through the difficulty of an eviction. Even going through the proper legal channels can take months and months of court dates, unpleasant meetings, and a lot of bad blood. Likewise, no one ever has dreams of one day being evicted, especially when you have big secrets to hide. He arrived at his front door with the sheriff in tow, along with a small army of officials to remove all the items, including the occupants of the house. But not one person wanted to go inside the doors once the grisly situation began unfolding. No one wanted to know what they would find next. Inside the shuttered house, it was stiflingly warm and strangely damp. The house was silent, while motes of sunlight stole through the sealed windows. Removing a tenant in a complicated and long-standing situation as this was difficult at the best of times. With a house so ominous, it felt like a portal to another realm that he might never return from. The stagnant damp in the air masked a smell that stopped everyone dead in their tracks. An unfamiliar smell of rot and decay hid something far more chilling. Perhaps the police should have come too, he thought to himself as they all walked into a room bathed in red. Outside the house stood the tenant peacefully explaining to a camera crew how he'd done it. No ounce of remorse crossed his bearded face as he retold scene by graphic scene the method to his madness. Outwardly, he appeared calm, but inside a demon was struggling to be released. He would win this fight. There are plenty of things that can go sideways when you rent out your house. Most contacts even state that you may not drive any nails into the walls, just to prevent unsightly damage to expensive paintwork and structure. What Sean Casey did was far beyond any homeowner's wildest fears, and this was just the beginning. Red dripped off a cutting board into the floor, and more was found inside the refrigerator waiting for its turn to go under the sharp knife that was carefully laid out on the kitchen countertop. The smell was uncooked meat, but this meat was never destined to be cooked. It had a far scarier fate awaiting it. Sean couldn't understand what all the fuss was about as desperate phone calls were made to the authorities. No one dared enter the living room of the house, but while they waited for backup to arrive, the officials with the sheriff began dumping all of Sean's furniture and belongings out on the pavement. Quietly floating in what was at first thought to be a hot tub built in the middle of the living room was the largest alligator animal control workers had ever had to deal with. At 7 foot long, the sweetly named catfish weighed in at over 200 pounds and had been living in this Kansas City home for the last 4 years. Back then, Catfish was only an 11-inch baby. But the circus doesn't end there. The house ended up holding 3 more reptiles, the beautiful smaller cousins in the constrictor family. The ball python barely makes the 6.5 feet mark, while its larger reticulated family members often make it to 30 feet or more. And they, unlike Catfish, are far from being aggressive. Instead, they curl into a tight ball and tuck their heads to try to hide away. A rabbit and a kitten were also removed from the house, and all the animals have been moved to various wildlife sanctuaries for safety. Catfish was moved to a temporary location housed at the Monkey Island Rescue and Sanctuary in nearby Greenwood. The snakes and rabbit went to a nearby animal shelter, KC Pet Project, and the kitten could stay with Sean, except he had nowhere to go and a huge pile of furniture and personal belongings on the front pavement. Once animal control realized they couldn't possibly relocate an animal of this size, they called in an animal rescue group to help them remove Catfish. This thing was massive in size, and it took over 4 of us to handle this, said James Donovan with KC Animal Control. No one was hurt, but Catfish was clearly unhappy, uprooted from his home and everything he knew. What would become of them all? Although alligators and other exotic animals are prohibited in Kansas City, that doesn't mean Sean will not fight for his beloved pet. I don't know what the procedure will be to get him back, but I'm going to fight to get him back, he told the cameras. He had his own way of saying hi to people, Casey said. They're not big, ferocious animals like people think. They have personalities. Casey said the animal's diet consisted of chicken nuggets, steak, deer, and fish. He also said that Catfish acts like a dog. He was like a dog. I don't think he knew he was an alligator, he said. I tell people all the time I've got an alligator who can't swim. He is scared of the dark and scared of thunderstorms. And like a dog, Catfish roamed around the house. I built him a ramp to get back in his tank because he is a big lizard. He was going to come out and play. He liked to come out and play, Casey said. Oddly enough, he liked to come to sit on my lap. He told me about how unique it was that he built this, basically a pool in his living room, and he would fill it with water. Catfish was just sitting there like me and you are sitting here right now. He used to take Catfish through the McDonald's drive-thru line, and everybody knew who he was. He would sit right next to him, he told the news crew. And Sean plans to get his big dog-like reptile back. After his story went viral, there have been outcries for Catfish to be returned to his owner. It would be great for Catfish to stay with his owner because his owner is a wonderful caretaker. But at the end of the day, we are just looking for a place where Catfish doesn't have to move around, a wildlife worker related. Sean has even enlisted the help of a local law firm. Jungle law attorney Lauren Sierra said, I feel like when there is an exotic animal in Kansas City, it makes sense to call jungle law, so people tend to reach out to us. And he claims that Catfish was well taken care of. I knew he was passionate about this animal. He grew him up from 12 inches to almost 7.5 feet, now 200 pounds, jungle law attorney Tristan Wood said. He's very well kept. He said he kept him better than he does himself. And by looking at him, I think that is the truth. Catfish is a remarkable alligator because, as you know from personal experience, he is pretty friendly, Sierra said. We just want to make sure that everything that's required in his lifestyle is available to him. While everyone is rooting for the quiet man to have his pet returned, his friend also started a GoFundMe account called Catfish.